Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Photo Paint Fabrication. Well, we're right back on the doors today, and we're going to do some preliminary blocking, just like we did on the quarter panels and the front fenders. We'll block out the epoxy, see where it needs some filling, get that done, block it some more, and get them prepped up and ready to go for some more epoxy. So let's jump in, take a look at this door, see how it looks right now, and get some blocks out and get to sanding. All right guys, as you recall, this door is in epoxy right after sheet metal work. There is no filler underneath any of that. So it's looking pretty good. Of course, we've got some pellet dings in it, and we're gonna find some waves and low spots, but it's looking pretty good overall. We've got all this work we did here, but I do not wanna put body fill over bare steel. So we're gonna try to block it out, find the low spots, get those filled, block it some more, and see what we can do with this thing. So let's grab some blocks and get to sanding. All right, let's start off with the round block. I've got some 100 grit on it, and we're going to hit this area right through here just to kind of roll up in there and pull down. Then we can get the flat blocks down around this corner and all the way onto the field right here. And we're just trying to, I'm not pushing down really hard. I'm letting the motion of my arms carry me over all the high and low spots. And this epoxy hasn't been touched yet, so it's going to take a second to break it open. And I'm kind of rolling as I go. Just use as much sandpaper as I can on here. Okay, right off the bat, it's looking pretty good. So it's got a little line right through here, but I can see it's got a little high spot there. But it's starting to sand out really, really nice and even. And that's what you want. So I'm going to keep sanding on this, and we'll bring you back. We'll take a look at it. All right, guys, that went really well. I'm really happy with how straight it is so far. So we can see some low spots right here. We got one here, here. Got one over here. It's kind of probably a pucker from stamping. And remember, this is a little low right here. And I didn't want to try to kink that corner up and screw the rest of this up. So I think what we'll do is we'll just fill this area right here and blend it back and take care of that. But all the way down, there's nothing that more primer won't take care of. I mean, it's really looking good. And right now we're trying to get the big stuff. We're not trying to do, guide coating and super fine, work. We're just trying to hit the big stuff. And then we have another one right here. That's probably a dent. Somebody opened the door into something. So we're going to go ahead and get that filled as well. There's some steel showing here. As long as we keep it in this area where there's epoxy, we shouldn't have a problem. So that's looking really good. Let's move on. We're just going to kind of work our way down. So we're going to try to get this area right here. And the reason I use that round block is if you use a flat block, what happens is when you're sanding, it hits and digs in, and it will actually leave a line. I've seen it. I've seen DA lines. Where the guy's sanding and he's bumping off a radius, it will leave a divot down in there once the car's done. So that's why I use the round block and try to come down a little bit so I can stay away from that radius and not dig a little trench in there with the edge of the sanding block. So let me grab a block and we'll try to work here it down a little bit and see how it looks. All right, guys, I just put a fresh piece of 100 grit on this long block. Now, something I just recently started doing because I kept losing track of what grit I had on what block. I just put a piece of tape on here and write the grit on there, and so I know. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, well, you should be using maybe a heavier grit so you don't push down, and you can just glide over this and block it out. Well, I want to put body filler over epoxy. I don't want any steel showing. So if I had a 60 or an 80 grit on here, I could blow through a high spot real fast before I know it. So we're going to go ahead and use 100 grit. Just kind of block this epoxy, see what's high, see what's low, and then go from there. So since we have a body line right here, it's pretty pronounced, not super sharp, but there's a nice crisp body line here. I don't want to sand over the top of it. I want to sand down, and then I want to sand up to it. So let's just go ahead and get started and see how this thing turns out. Now the fresh 100 grit is going to cut fast. So I got a real light touch right here and just watching what I'm doing. I'm looking how it's sanding, where it's hitting, and I'm trying not to rise up too far and put a groove in like I was talking about just a moment ago. looking pretty good. Pretty happy with that. We got a little low spot here. It's already starting to sand out a little bit. We've got one right here that I can feel that. That's going to need some filler. And the body line has a little bit of a low spot because it's not sanding. So we probably have to get a little filler right here. But I'm going to keep sanding a little bit. I like to work this incrementally. We've got a little more technical area, let's say. We've got this radius. We've got a body line. So I kind of want to work this area and kind of get it worked out. Then we can move down to the field and just kind of really go for it, do a lot of big blocking. But let me keep sanding on this. And then I'll bring you back in a second, and we'll see exactly what we got going on here. All right, guys, we definitely have some stuff going on, but you kind of have to start deciding, all right, am I going to try to let primer take that out, or we need to mix up some body filler? But we'll figure that out in a second. So as I was blocking, I realized I screwed up in sheet metal. You see that little donut showing up right there. That's right where the door handle attaches. Well, it was erupted like a volcano because it's a small bolt with a small washer that attaches it. So as you can see here, I just took a 1/4 inch bolt, small washer, and a couple of fender washers on the backside and a nut, and I basically just tightened it down until it crushed it back down. It's still a little elevated, but it's no big deal. The handle goes over the top of it, but I should have taken care of that in sheet metal. So as we go down through here, you can see we've got some light low spots. Of course, this one right here is definitely a dent, and then we've got some spots right through here. Now, I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but that line of the fender comes and it rolls down along here, and it comes down to meet here, and then this one rolls back up. Now, these are fairly defined, and then it goes to nothing, then it goes kind of semi-defined, and then off to the roll of the front fender. So you kind of have to decide what needs to be done. Now, for most cars, this is perfectly fine, but I don't know if you guys can tell, it dips right at those shiny spots right there. See how the fender line rolls and it's heading downhill where that's got a little low spot in it. Now, a lot of that you can sand out later when you're doing your fine tuning, your dry guide coating, stuff like that. But I'm feeling like this is probably a little bit lower than a couple of coats of primer will take out. So we may fill that and it'll be super thin, but I think I'm going to fill that and block that and try to get this line back up where it belongs. But other than that, nothing super serious. Let's go ahead and move on to the field here and get some big blocking done and see what that looks like. All right, we're still using the long block with a fresh 100 on it, so let's go ahead and hit it. Now, I don't push down very hard. I'm not trying to, flatten this out. I'm just trying to get this thing to show me what's going on. Definitely low spot there, of course. Really slight one there. Another one there. Mark hitting it with a pellet gun. Got something going on here, but we're not looking too bad. I'm going to go ahead and do a little more blocking off camera, and I'll bring you back. We'll take a close-up look at what we got going on. Doesn't look like we need a lot of filling here, which is really good news. All right, we're not looking too bad. We've got some stuff going on here. So a little bit of a low spot there and a little shiner coming through, a little steel. I didn't see that coming. And then of course the low spot we were talking about here. Got a little pellet mark there, got a dinger right there, another pellet mark. And this area right here, you can see it doesn't really want to sand. That's right where this kind of quarter panel shape comes in, and then it changes, it goes into a lower spot, and then it rolls back out to the front fender. So you kind of have to know what your car is supposed to look like, especially if it's really beat up. You could be guessing. So look at other cars when you're out at shows. If they've got the same car, kind of eyeball it, maybe take a few pictures so you know what you need to reproduce. Now, overall, it's not bad. Down here, we've got a lot going on. So I can feel a crease right in there, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be a high spot right there. But I don't know if you guys can tell, but that body line doesn't look too good. So what I'm going to do off camera, I'm not going to bring you along. I'm going to get on the creeper, lay on my back, get the round block and block up to that line, and then see what's going on there. But it looks okay, but I know we've got some stuff going on right here for sure. So let me knock that out. I'll bring you back, and then maybe we can start thinking about filling some of these low spots. All right, we got that lower body line. It's starting to show exactly what needs to be done. We got a little low spot there. We got low spot there. So I think we need to fill that whole area and block it back down. I also had to bump the lower lip. You can see it's block sanded across most of it, but I've got a spot there, there. I still need to bump out and keep block sanding, so I need a little more work to do there. But I kind of had to stop mid blocking because something didn't feel right. I didn't like the way the block was sanding. So I checked it, and you can see right here, I don't know if you guys can see that, this block is arched. It got warped sometime, I don't know when it happened, but it's not flat anymore, so it's really no good to me. So I had to switch back to old reliable here. This is a wood block. It was my dad's. I think it's over 50 years old. It's wood here. The base is wood. They wrapped the edge in aluminum to, I guess, protect it. But yeah, it's straight as an arrow, where this newer one is junk. I don't know. I'll try to straighten it. If I can't straighten it, I'll probably just, cut it and make 2 small blocks out of it. I don't know, or throw it away. But it's no good to me as a long block anymore because it's got a big bow in it. So the next thing we need to do is start figuring out where we're going to fill. So filling in this whole area is for sure these little dingers here and there for sure, and then some on the edge here. Now remember, I don't want to put any body fill over bare steel, so we're going to shy away from that. We got a little fill in to do here with a shiner, but that will come right back through the body filler if I go over the top of it. And we really kind of want to rough this in like we did the other parts of the car. So let me do some more sanding. And then I think we'll get in here and scuff up these low areas and mix up some body filler and get them filled. All right, guys, let's get some body filler on here. I mixed this batch way too hot, so I'm going to try to do the large areas, and we'll make a smaller batch that's slower for the other ones. I don't know what I was thinking. Yep, it's done. Look at that. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I was thinking when I put that much hardener in there. Just throw it away. Don't push it. All right, let's try this again. I swear I thought it was 40 degrees in the shop or something, mixing it that hot. Idiot. All right, I don't know if I got them all, but I think I did. This stuff's starting to go, so I think we're going to stop right there. We're going to let it set up really good. We'll block it out and then fill some more if we need to. All right, feels like it's all set up real nice, so let's go ahead and get some blocking done. So I've got the extra long DuraBlock with some 40 grit on it, so let's see what we can do here. All right, we can see those 2 low spots that we were working on. I don't know if this one's going to come out. We're going to sand down a little bit more, but I think that's too low. I think this one will come together. It feels pretty good. Let me go ahead and keep working on it, and I'll bring you back. We'll see how it looks. All right, didn't get enough filler on it the first try, which happens. So you can see, remember that low spot we had? Well, it just showed up right there. Got one here, so I think I'm going to get some more on here. Some more back there, and I think this will sand out, but I don't want to take the chance, so I'm going to scuff this and add some right in here. We need a little bit more right on that edge, and this area came up pretty nice, except I didn't go large enough this way. And right over here, this looks like it may sand out, but I'm gonna go ahead and add some more on here and get that to feather out really nice. Similar thing here, I didn't get enough, but then I remembered while I was sanding this, remember we pulled this out on the last video and I was supposed to kind of blend that back into here, and I didn't. I totally forgot about it. So what I'll do is I'll scuff this whole area and we'll go ahead and get this whole thing covered and then sand it all out. Similar back here, just didn't go far enough, but yeah, sometimes it takes 2 or 3 coats to get it right. Let me scuff all these areas, blow it off, tack it off. We'll mix up another batch and get some more on here. All right, let's try to do this without running out of time. All right, starting to set. We're going to leave it. All right, I'll bring it back. We get some more sanding done on it. All right, guys, been a couple hours. Some sanding. Had to fill again some small areas that I missed, but it's starting to come together pretty nicely. So down here, I just had to lay on the creeper on my back and just sand this radius up on here and then sand down to get the shape. But I had to make sure I had that body line right all the way down. So I took a long straight edge from there over to here and just drew a pencil line. Then I simply sanded this way to get back down to the line and up this way to get up to it, and it's looking pretty good. It still needs to be rounded over to match back there, but I think we've got the overall rough shape in, so it's looking pretty good. Along the door gap right there, it's looking pretty good. Not super thick, you can see through it. So when we bumped that edge out, it was a little proud to match the fender, and then we had to fill this area to feather it back. So it's looking pretty good. That fender does need more work. Once we get this out of the way, we can open it and then fill that and straighten out some of that unevenness right there. Now we need to move on to this right here. And we can't use a pencil line for that. This is a very rolled line, body line. And we're shooting for kind of a round shape. It kind of goes like this and then back down up by the headlight. So let's get some dry guide coat out and get that guide coated up and then just do some fine sanding to see where we're at. All right, let's get some guide coat on here. And I know I've said it before, but it's worth repeating. If you guys aren't using dry guide coat, please get some and start using it. It will step up your game dramatically. So much faster and easier than, you know, trying to spray it and wait for that to dry and sand everything. This is so quick and easy, and it really shows everything because you rub it down in all the sand scratches and everything else. So that looks pretty good right there. Not going to get it too far out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to block one direction only to see how that line's laying. We don't want to go both directions yet, just one direction, and to just kind of see where we're at. I think I'm going to sand up from the bottom, just really lightly, and see what it exposes. All right, we got some 100 grit on here. Kind of a long block for this, but I'm going to go ahead and try to use it because it's already loaded up. All right, so we can see it's a little low there, a little low there. I can't even feel that. That's how good this dry guide coat is. And a little low there as well. Let me sand some of these high spots down. It's a little high here and there. So let me sand this up and I'll bring it back and we'll take a close-up look at it. All right, what we're looking for is a nice, consistent, smooth line that doesn't wander up and down. And we're not looking too bad right there if you look closely. Got some sand scratches, but nothing I'm too worried about. Now you see it start to dip over here and kind of get fuzzy. Now that's a problem area, so that's obviously low, but you can see how it's sanding quite a bit right here. So I think this is holding that up from climbing up. So let me do a little more sanding. I'll bring you back, we'll look at it, and then we'll start sanding from the top down. All right, we got that sanded up. We got a pretty nice body line going across there. It's nice and smooth. I just looked this way and it rolls up and kind of follows right into the fender, so that's good. That's what we wanted because it did dip right in this area. So now we just want to go ahead and slightly sand down over here, and I want to leave just a little bit of a strip here so I can start figuring out how I want to shape this body line. Now we're still roughing in, but you know, we can fine tune it later after we get some more epoxy on here, but the closer we get right now, the better. All right guys, we're looking really good. I've got it down to a little tighter line and it's looking pretty consistent. Little fat right there, but once we roll this over, I think we're going to be looking pretty good. It fattens up down here. This the body line kind of smooths out into a flat roll by the door handle here. So I think that's part of the transition. We actually didn't really get a lot of body filler back here, so I think that's just where it rolls back. So let's go ahead and see if take a look down the line here and see if it curves nice and clean right into the fender, and then I think we can start rolling it over. All right, we're looking pretty good. We had a little dip right there, and I think we've got a nice line coming off the door right into the fender. So all we have to do is roll it over. I think I'm going to use that long block with that 100 on it just to get me a nice long radius across there so I don't have any waves in it. So let me put the camera down and we'll try to sand that in there. All right, what I want to do is kind of roll off of this fender and help me get the shape going. Then I can go back on this side and do the same thing, and then it'll just kind of connect in the middle. And I got to make sure I hold the block as parallel to that line as possible. You can see the epoxy starting to show through. We're getting right back down to it. It's actually feeling pretty good. I think we need a little bit more though. Now you see where the epoxy's starting to show. Remember, this was our low spot and it's not showing. So it means we're getting really close back to the factory, the shape that it was. It might be a little high on the top here, but I think we're looking pretty good. I don't want to go too far. I think we need to get some epoxy on it and then we can fine tune that line, but yeah, that feels pretty good. All right guys, I think that's about it for the day. We got that low spot right there. We got these little dingers filled. We got this body line worked out. We're not going to know for sure until we get more epoxy on it. We're able to look down that line. And that's the great thing about this epoxy I'm using. It's pretty shiny when you're done spraying it, so you can kind of tell how you're doing. We got this edge right here filled. It took more filler than I ever imagined, but it's really thin on the edge. If I zoom in tight right there, you can see we rolled that bead up a little bit and then just had to feather it back. So we're looking pretty good. And we got that area where, remember, we had to kind of really hammer this out and then feather it back. No other way on that one. These panels just don't fit together so well. I have some body filler to clean off. I kind of spilled over there. This fender is going to need more epoxy and then some filling. So I'm hoping to get the other door looking at least as good as this one or semi-close. And then we can spray some epoxy on like the front part of that quarter panel, the doors, and any other small parts, maybe the windshield wiper cowl and some other stuff I got laying around, need to get some epoxy on. Then we can get back to some blocking. But yeah, pretty happy to get this one roughed out. I think that's everything except the passenger door, and I'll get on that tomorrow. All right guys, I got body filler dust all over me and all over the shop and everything, so we must have got something done today. Now the door came out really nice. I'm really happy. Obviously I used a little bit more body filler than I thought I was going to. You know, I had to recoat it again, but that's always the case, isn't it? Well, this will just take a little bit, you know, next thing you know, you've got a larger area and you're mixing up another batch. Luckily, most of it's laying on the ground and on me, so we sanded most of it off. And don't be ashamed about using body filler. I know a lot of you guys, you know, see these shows and these build guys out there, oh, there's no body filler on this car or whatever. Don't let them kid you. They skim coat those whole cars and block them down, or they spray 6 coats of urethane primer on it and block it down. They all have filler on them. It's just a different kind of filler. So do the best sheet metal work you can do, and then let body filler get you the rest of the way there. There's no shame in it. It's just a car. So do the best you can. Keep it as thin as you can, but don't worry about using it. I use it. Everybody uses it. It's a tool just like everything else. So we got this door done. I have to finish the other door, and then we've got everything roughed out except that hood, and that's going to be a whole different debacle, I'm sure, but that thing can wait. I'm tired of looking at it. So yeah, we're moving along finally. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next one.